Of course, you want to know what happened that night. Maybe it's time I finally told the story. Maybe you're wondering how I'd know. No witnesses, they said. Well, I was there. In fact, I was always there. Clearing up, sweeping floors, doing all the shitty jobs nobody fancied. And I was that nobody, that's for sure. Going nowhere, no idea what I was doing with my life. Well, as it turns out, that's not entirely true. It was Omar's club, and he ran a poker game once a month. Fancied himself as a bit of a gangster, dressed like some geezer from The Godfather. But he was a small-time crook and a degenerate gambler. He did win from time to time, not always straight up. In fact, that's how the cheating bastard became the owner of the club. But when he lost big. He was in debt to some of the nastiest fuckers in town. I'd hear him shouting at his man Bronxy how he needed cash fast and he needed him to come up with something. Bronx, of course, was from the Bronx. And he was Omar's man for pretty much everything. But the pressure was building up on poor old Bronxy to come up with something. As soon enough, all that debt was going to come knocking. So, of course, Bronxy did come up with a plan. The usual game at the end of the month was going to be triple the buy-in. 150 grand gets you a seat at the table. And that's not the only thing different. There's going to be a replacement crew working the game. A more professional outfit. A new croupier, banker, waitress, even the barmaid. The regulars don't usually like this kind of change, but the game goes ahead. No one wants to pass on that potential payday. And there's no problem filling every seat at the table. The night of the game, there's not the usual banter. Omar's nervous. This is way out of his league. As the guests arrive, he's wired. First through the door is Nikolai Chekhov and his minder Yuri. The old Russian's like a bottomless pit of cash. He wins more than he loses, but he doesn't seem to give a fuck either way. This is probably one of the smaller games he's involved in. His muscle Yuri drinks like a fish. Straight up vodka all night. It's a fucking miracle he can see, let alone watch his boss's back. Mind you, I've seen him a bottle down, smash some geezer out of his shoes, 2 seconds after the dickhead suggested that his boss might not be playing straight. Antoine Brown arrives next, R&B star. Why he keeps coming back is anybody's guess. You'd think he'd have better places to go. From what I hear, his last album went double platinum. Everywhere he goes, he's surrounded by a bunch of muppets. Half of them telling him he's all that and a bag of chips, and the rest of them are just moody bastards in sunglasses. But he doesn't bring them here. At the club, he's just another card player. Maybe that's why he comes. To remember what it's like to not have anyone give a fuck who you are. Then there's Paul Sorvino. He's a Yankin from New Jersey. I've not seen him before. He's a well-connected geezer over there, apparently. Rumour has it he's on his holidays, something to do with upsetting the wrong people. He's laying low, you might say. His date is clearly not his missus, hanging on his arm, already pissed, bored out of her mind. She would rather be anywhere else. There's another new face tonight, Jacob. He's known as the Preacher. His body is covered in tattoos, scriptures and pictures of Jesus and other Bible stuff. He's one scary bastard. You never want to be visited by Jacob. He collects debts for Mad Tony, one of the few guys that Omar doesn't owe money to. Even Omar's not stupid enough to pick up a debt from Tony. But tonight, Jacob's just here to play cards, and by all accounts, he's one hell of a player. Ethan arrives next. Ethan Klein, that's right, the movie star. Don't ask me which movies, ones where lots of shit gets blown up. He likes to talk, this one. I reckon his mouth has probably got him into trouble in the past, which is why you'll never see him without Dina, one of the scariest fuckers you could ever hope to meet. The others tolerate Ethan's bullshit, because he often loses spectacular piles of cash. It's always nice to have a sucker at the table. The last to arrive is Katrina Strauss and her associate Kira. These two couldn't have stood out more if they were on unicycles juggling chainsaws. You'd think no one had seen a woman before, but there was something a little disquieting about these two. As the players arrive, Bronx has Jerome checking for guns. It's obvious Jacob's not happy about it. Here's a man who doesn't go anywhere without his gun. Things can get a little heated at the table. Players like to drink. And before you know it, someone's taken offence and put a hole in someone's head. Everyone banks their 150k with an option to buy in for another 100k should they need it. The amount of cash sitting on that table was fucking ridiculous. That kind of cash can make people do stupid things. I suppose Omar took one look at that pile of cash and thought all his problems would be over. They were a good 6 hours in, with only a few players with money on the table, when Ethan starts causing a right old fuss. He's shouting at the waitress saying that she's been ignoring him all night. He's probably used to having women all over him, but Candy doesn't give a fuck who he is. Dino tried to calm him down, but he's too far gone and he blows up. He swings for him, and how he misses this mountain of a geezer is a bloody mystery, but miss he does, and he goes flying across the table. I suppose that was the distraction they were looking for. Katrina, Kira, the dealer, the banker, the waitress, even the barmaid pull out shooters. Within seconds, they have systematically shot everyone in the room. All over in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. Katrina then turns to Omar, pointing a gun at his chest. There's a look of total confusion on the man's face as I walk up and stand next to her. This is for my dad, I tell him. I watch the confusion wash over his face. He'd been forced into a corner. There was no way he could clear all his debts. He needed cash to run. Kill everyone and bolt. It was as simple as that. It was his only way out. How could he know that I'd been introduced to Katrina years ago by my uncle, and that I would engineer a chance meeting between her and Bronx, and that she would suggest a plan that would get Omar out of the insurmountable debt that he was in? I'd like to think that in those last moments, just after Katrina put that final bullet in Omar's chest, just as he could feel his life slowly slipping away, he finally put it all together. But for all those years, right under his nose, the lad who was stocking the bar, cleaning the floors, emptying the ashtrays, was the son of the man who used to own the Kahlua Club. The man that Omar Johnson had cheated out of his club in a game of poker. And losing that club had crushed the man, sending him on a downward spiral that ended in him taking his own life, and left his lad with so much hate in his heart that he was prepared to play the long game and wait for just the right moment to take his revenge.